Start out by giving myself a round of applause. Stoop Dog, I want to thank myself because what we are is on day 41 of 90 consecutive days of live streaming. 42. I messed up my own banner. Wait, are we on 42? Hold on. Let me double check and make sure I'm not underselling myself. We might be on day 43, but I'm pretty sure I changed this banner earlier because I meant to be live earlier than now before my meeting, and that's just not what happened. But oh, I had another short. Okay, y'all see this? I had another short hit 200 views. What short is that? Oh, it's the same short. Y'all already told me this one hit 200 views. Oh, but it is in the shorts feed. That is awesome. But it has done nothing else for my channel. But let me just verify again what day we're on here. Yesterday was Tech Tuesday. Today is Win Win Wednesday. Let me see what the banner said yesterday. Oh, it was 41. Okay, it is 42. Confirmed. Hey Siri, what percentage is 42 of 90? It's approximately 46.6%. So we're close to 50. We're almost there. And I had a little bit of a double duty plan today because it's a win-win Wednesday. And of course, on win-win Wednesday, we talk about negotiation and all of those things because this is Slasher Chick TV where we like to talk about growth mindset and negotiation strategy. So you never have to choose between this or that. You can always say yes to this slash that if that's what you want. So you can hack a lifestyle that you love, even if it's scary to other people. And with that in mind, I have a video that I need to record that I thought, well, why don't I go ahead and record some of the B-roll by reacting to the part I need to react to in my live stream and using that to record it. And I know you're like, what? But hear me out. Let me cook here. So, one of the things that's been a win-win for me is when I have interviewed for things without knowing the person I was interviewing with had any sort of clout. For example, I used to work for the African American Chamber of Commerce in my city, specifically on getting more minority and women owned service businesses involved in school district professional services contracts. And at the time that I joined the organization, the executive director was named Delilah. And I went to go interview with her. And when I came back from the interview, my mom was asking me, like, oh, how'd it go? And I was like, oh, I think it went pretty well. Like, hi, Coach Cherry. I was like, yeah, I interviewed with some lady, Delilah. Like, I was just so flippant about it. And my mom's like, and at the time, well, I'll get to that in a minute. And my mom's like, Delilah Winder? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you don't know who that is? And I'm like, no, who's that? And at the time, she was like all over everything because Oprah was raving about her mac and cheese. Okay. She had just, been going viral, which I don't even think we used the term viral at the time, over her mac and cheese on Oprah. And I think this book had like just been released or something. What year was this? I don't know what year this was, but at any rate, like, she was the hot ticket in food and definitely a hot ticket in Philadelphia at the time. And I had no clue that's who was interviewing me for this job. And it really worked in my favor because I think had I known, I would have been a lot more nervous. So it was a win-win. I got the job, and everyone won, right? Now, what also ended up being a win-win was the company I um, went to uh, before my current role. I had this is one I intend to do this as a story time one day, because I had found this position in the midst of like a transition in which I was quitting my full time job without exactly having everything figured out. And I had never in my entire life done anything like such a thing. Okay. Since I was 14 years old, I had never, that was the first time I think I was able to get like a W 2 job, was at Wendy's. And oh no, I still couldn't get a W 2 job then. I got my working papers and no one would hire me no matter how hard I tried. So I just started babysitting until I got my first W 2 job at Wendy's at 16. And I worked there for about 6 months until the Gap called me, and I was like, deuces. And I went to the Gap, and I worked there from the time I was 16 to like 20, 21 or 22. It was a very, I'll, anyway, different story time, because I think there's so many foundational skills that you learn from any type of hospitality or service job, and I think everybody should spend the beginning of their career at either hospitality, retail, some sort of service. But at any rate, um, I found this job, and everything was like falling into place as to I had when I first saw the posting, I was like, oh, I got to update my resume. And then like I had waited a day or so, and I was like, girl, I ain't no time to update your resume. Just send what you got. I did that. And like, then everything worked out as far as what time I did the interview. I think I had started, telling the story before, but then the part that really took the cake was I also didn't know who the founder and CEO was of this company was. I didn't know she was like kind of a big deal, that she had helped launch Lean In. She had worked at the White House, and this was really her first foray into going out on her own. What I did know is that I was helping someone launch their baby, and it needed to be handled with care. That part was clear once I got the job. But she had a YouTube channel where she would do content. And it was really a marketing engine for her book, and ultimately then became a marketing engine for the company as well. And I would, uh, once I knew who she was and kind of looked into her background, etc., I was a total fangirl. So now I was at the point where I was watching the YouTube regularly, but I didn't know to expect this. So I just happened to be watching upon it, and I'm going to react to it now so you can see what I mean. Because this is an example of, for me, one of the ways in which YouTube changed my life without me expecting it or anticipating it. But from a career perspective, this was really affirming when this particular thing happened. So here you'll see. So this, what I'm about to show you, is the that CEO and founders channel. It's evolved now, but this is what she used to do at the time. Her content called Tiffany's Epiphanies. And I just happened to, as they say, I'm Scrolliana on YouTube, and I just happened to come across this video when she released
A
it.
little while back, I hired my first crew guide. Earlier this year, I started a new venture called The Crew because every woman needs one. And each circle of 10 women is supported virtually by a crew guide that helps to ensure their success. So, this was the role that I was one. And each circle of 10 women is supported virtually by a crew
I may
guide
need
that
to
helps
keep
to
this up
ensure
with the
their
so I don't
success. So,
get
this was the
copyrighted.
role that I was hiring for. It was a nail biter. I had a lot of amazing.
Now, let me just say, my crew, having no longer been an employee and moved on to a customer, is the most amazing group of women I could have ever had the luck of being matched with. And that's one of the ways I knew that she had something real. Now, I think I mentioned this in a previous live. Tiffany since sold the company, and there's a new owner who has integrated it with her own brand for a co-working space that she has for women. Um, But my crew has made some like major life changes and strides, gotten their doctorates. Just it's been such an amazing group to have. Literally wind beneath your wings. Um, it's been great.
Amazing candidates, but only a very short window of time to make the hiring decision. And during the final round of interviews, one of the candidates, Alicia, who has an HR background, asked me a really great question. She said, Tiffany, I know that you had to draft a list of qualifications for the job description, but there's always like one gut question that we're asking ourselves whenever we're looking for someone for a role. What is that one core question that you're asking yourself unconsciously or consciously that is at the heart of your decision making? I had to admit to Alicia that I didn't know what.
Now, when I did stumble across this, I definitely remembered asking that question because it's actually one of my closing questions as a part of an interview. It's one of my closing questions so that when you tell me I can tie this back to negotiation. See, I knew it. It's one of my closing questions so that when you tell me what your primary interest is, I can use that as the way that I sell myself again, that I literally attempt to close the deal and ask for the job in the way in which I can either solve that pain point or meet that need that you just shared with me is the most important thing to you.
My core question was. And as soon as I did, I had this epiphany. You can't find what you don't know you're looking for. After I got off the phone with her, I did an exercise in which I did a little bit of breathing and I contemplated on what my core question was. After 10 minutes of quiet reflection, it came to me. My life's work is advancing women and girls. That's pretty much why I'm on the planet.
Now, that's another reason why I immediately fangirled her too when I met her. That is one of her, so much a part of her brand that she repeats that statement that that's her life's work. And, at the end of her life, she ultimately is looking for like her tombstone to say, I got to as many of them as I can. And that everything else that she does is to just reverse engineer how can I make that possible. Um, and that level of clarity was something I had just really admired in my organization's leader.
And the mission of the crew is to help a woman to clarify and meet her life intentions. My question was, which one of these candidates can best help her to do that? And as soon as I asked myself that question, a tidal wave came over me because I had clarity that the answer was the person who has best done that for me. And in this case, that would be Alicia. Hiring people is a really tough thing to do.
Oh my God, did I slow
Years
it down?
ago, I
Did.
went to a training by an organization called the Management Center, in which I learned that nearly 50% of.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there because I just wanted to react to that part. Because I was so shocked when I stumbled across that. And yes, Coach Sherry, it very much felt like a getting my flowers while I was here. I did not know. Yeah, I didn't know that that was what she recorded. And I remember in one of my performance reviews, um, one of the things I got back being how how just like consistently I showed up with a growth mindset. And that was like one of the best compliments I think I've ever received professionally. There's a few. You know how like you have your favorite compliments and they stick to you because they are very much the things that I hope my brand would be. Like I work well for people who are like Tiffany, who are visionaries and able to expose a vision and be like a very outgoing face of a brand, right? And I work really well like managing the operations that makes that easy for them to just make it all happen. And so I had a previous entrepreneur that I worked for that was kind of my role, and she I heard her on the phone saying to someone else like, "Oh no, Alicia's like a professional easy button," and I loved that. And I remember one time when I was recruiting and consulting, um, having my manager there when I was leaving that particular client saying that I was the consummate HR professional. And that one has also stuck with me. Oh, and the more recent one I got that really, really I appreciated was having someone tell me, "You're the first time I've seen HR as a partner." Um, so I don't know how I got her down the rabbit hole of my favorite compliments to receive, but because they make me feel good to think about them, that is one of my favorite questions to ask someone when I'm trying to get to know them a little bit better. It's not like a cocktail evening question, but it definitely is a question for someone whom you are trying to build a relationship and a rapport, or if you're building a team, it's a good like check-in question that you can use, like what's one of your favorite compliments to receive. And it can start you in just learning more about those people, because you'll learn what they value and what is important to them, because that's the thing that they're going to want to be complimented on. It's just human nature, to want people to notice the things that we we want to be liked and are known for ourselves, or as you said, Coach Sherry, what we hope to be the legacy that we are leaving. So, but at any rate, yeah, I wanted to record part of that because I do want to finally record this video of how YouTube's changing my life, or how YouTube changed my life. I don't know if you've noticed this, Coach Sherry, but that's definitely one of the trending type videos that is going around, and or at least the trending titles, and could be a win-win in terms of getting out some easy to what do you call it, easy to edit scripted content, um non-live stream content that um could also bring new people to your channel, and is another way to introduce yourself to a potential new audience, because it's a way to kind of, I think, share more about your background, right? Like, it's not only how YouTube's changing my life, but how YouTube's changing your life for you specifically. And there is another chance where you can share kind of your unique advantage, or the thing that about your persona that will make others know, like, and trust you. So, for example, these aren't even all of them. Uh, but yeah, career wise, that was an example of how YouTube is changing my life. So, um, that, see, exactly. That right there is a unique advantage, though, Coach Sherry. Not everyone has that, both skill and talent, because it is a talent. But it also, if you've continued to lean into that talent, is a skill once you continue to build it. Like, I had at the meeting I was in at tonight, someone say to me, "Well, you're really good at talking about stuff on the fly. You do it." And again, I didn't know. I'm glad that you noticed. um, so, but that's another way in which YouTube has definitely changed my life, and that is definitely made me a much more comfortable speaker. I would hope that I have gotten rid of even more filler words than even I had before, getting more comfortable with pauses. Preferably, it continues to make you a better storyteller so that you learn to keep people engaged. I've built new skills that I've used both professionally and personally, like learning to edit anything. Um, but it's also been a confidence builder, because, like I just mentioned, learning to edit anything, I had none of those skills when I started this. And so adding those to my repertoire has been a confidence builder as well. Like, yeah. Um, and even coming back to it after 5 years dormant, and saying, I'm going to go live for 90 days, has ignited something in me that only YouTube has made me feel this way. But yeah, Coach Sherry, let's see, I'm gonna go by, yeah, let's just look at recently uploaded. Okay. Um, and everybody and their mom is doing the how YouTube changed my life videos. Literally everybody and their mom. Okay. Like that. Do you see? Everyone. Okay. Now, this is the creator that I feel like started the trend. I don't know. Well, she's not the first that ever done it. But she seemed to be the first that did it this year that really blew up on her channel, and that seemed to, then a lot of other people seem to start following her path. Let me see if I can just, because now it's slowing down. Okay, now I'm going to do a pre-record on this tomorrow. Okay, love it. Can't wait to see it. Now, yes, and so I'm going to show you really quickly the where did it go? Let me see. I don't think she took it down. Oh, yeah, okay. So I feel like it's when this one really started picking up in the algorithm, when this particular creator, and she has now, how many subs? Now she has 28,000. At the time when she did this video, how YouTube changed my life with less than 500 subs, she had less than 500 subs. And it
give me 30 days and I'll make
all to 370,000 views. And then that's when I kept getting recommended it after that, after she did this 9 months ago. But you can see, even as of 2 months ago, as of yesterday, like literally everybody's doing this video. Oh, look at me showing up in okay. See that, now that feels like a win. That feels like, oh, it's making it worth doing all of these live streams. Because if I'm showing up in my search when I search for Camilla Ray, that means I'm showing up in somebody else's somewhere. I'm getting served to somebody that never saw me before here. Okay. That's what I'm taking it to mean, right? You know what? Even if it doesn't mean that, I am going to have the audacity to decide that it does. I am going to be just as delusional and audacious as I want to be, and assume that that's what it means, because that's what makes me feel good right now. So that's what we're going with. Yay for day 42. It's winning all around. That's what it means. Science, Coach Sherry. That's what. Who am I to argue with the science? I shall not. But yeah, check that out if that's something you haven't tried, because that could be like, yours could be how YouTube changed my life. I don't know, because you have more than 500 subscribers. So see what titles out there resonate with you. What feels like, oh, this feels like the right approach as I approach my Sweet 16. And I look forward to seeing that video. That will be great. As far as, let's see, other updates I had. So that's the next video you're going to record. What I'm going to record next is about how I have ultimately I have failed this no buy month, y'all. Ooh, okay. I like it. Now, I say I failed because I made it to a good, consistent 13 days in a row, doing great. And then what had happened was I had to travel to go for Mother's Day, and it's just been all excuses since then. Okay. I don't know what else to call them but excuses. Now, I have noticed some shift in my some behaviors, and I have achieved some of those goals as far as like paying off the smallest balance credit card. Like that's happened. I did do a little bit of a fractional investment into a REIT. Um, but I realized that if I had been doing consistent days, today would be the end of my 30 days. And I'm like, okay, I have to acknowledge that this is a failure. But I have learned a lot in this 13 consecutive days that I did. And so I'm going to take that into the next iteration and try the challenge again. So I want to go ahead and do my first video about how I failed my first no buy challenge, and here's what I learned from it so that you can learn from my mistakes. Something to that effect. That's what it's going to be about. And then I'm going to start over. And I'll probably start over with June 1st because let's face it, Memorial Weekend. Like, come on. I'm not even going to pretend. So, and that's how I feel, Coach Sherry. The baby steps count too. Because, like I said, I have noticed some shifts in behaviors, different choices that I have made that I'm like, oh, okay, well, this seems to be like the whole point, Alicia, of doing this. Was you wanted to continue to shift this relationship and be more intentional and thoughtful and pay more, so I'm just going to focus on the progress over perfection. Take the feedback from this process as a gift and have the deludacity to think that I can try it again and make it work this time. Ooh, these banners are coming in handy. See, this is also nice to see, some of the things that have been set in place over the last 40 something days start to work a little bit. Now, if I can, one of these weeks in my 90 days, I'm going to go live in the morning. I'm going to do like a pre-work live stream set. So like 8 a.m. Eastern to 9 a.m. Eastern or something. I don't know why I am like, well, one reason is I used to live stream around those times, but it was always a pre-recorded live, and I guess I could still do that. But so it's like, oh, try it out again. Two, I would like to see what kind of audience is there. Is it people that are commuting into work and like they listen in like a podcast? I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to find out. So, part of the doing this challenge is to experiment, learn about your audience, see what people are interested in and where and how they listen and consume. So, like how you said, Coach Cherry, about using the podcast options too, and knowing, oh, like there is a different there's a different viewer that is on the podcast thing. That doesn't mean that they don't like your channel as a whole, but they might focus more on the podcast than they do the rest of the other things. And so I'm realizing that too, I think, with the live streams, that there are some people that might subscribe to your channel that they're just never going to come into a live stream because it's just not their thing. They just don't do it. And so getting a few people in your live stream isn't a reason not to do it, because it allows you to build that community, right? It's not just you talking to people, but then it's people talking amongst themselves. It's people sharing their own resources and ideas. And so I would say that's, between like the different AI lives and things that I've been in this week, that's my key takeaway from this particular week of the this 90-day live stream challenge. Now, that's another video I would like to do at the end of this challenge as well, Coach Sherry. And it feels like, oh, I need to start capturing some of these thoughts as it leads up to it. But like, I went live for 90 days and this is what happened. So Maybe while it's still fresh in my mind, I will go ahead tonight and record some of my thoughts about what I've learned so far, or at least the different perspectives that I have, how my mindset has shifted, or something like that as I approach 50% of this challenge. And Coach Sherry, now that you have achieved being 50% done with this challenge, perhaps it might be a good time for you to do some reflection too and use that reflection for your future video. But with that said, I have managed to live stream for 30 minutes for the last each day for the last 42 days consecutively, and that includes today. And I am so excited to be here. I can't wait to catch up with Coach Sherry and be at my 50% day. But for now, I will see you tomorrow for Thrive Thursday. And if I knew what time, I'd tell you. But if you are watching this in the replay, don't forget to like the live, subscribe to the channel if growth mindset, negotiation strategy topics are useful to you in order to create a lifestyle that you love, and leave a comment with your favorite compliment to receive in the comments down below. I hope to see you tomorrow in the live stream, and have a great night.